First of all, thank you for taking a few minutes of your time to listen to my story. The fact that you're here speaks to your passion and commitment to keeping our kids safe. It is my hope that what I'm about to share not only makes you think about emergency planning from a different perspective, but also underscores the critical importance of creating a culture of preparedness in your community. Not to mention the role your schools will play when you are confronted with the unthinkable. My name is CJ Huff, and I served as a superintendent of schools in Joplin, Missouri from 2008 to 2015. What I hope to bring you with this video is the gift of hindsight. Lessons learned that I pray are helpful to you as you reflect on your role as a school leader and the important responsibility you have for creating a culture of safety and security in your schools. And as we all know, the threats to the safety and security of our schools and our students are many. On Sunday, May 22, 2011, it was graduation day, a very special day in the Joplin schools. We were recognizing the class of 2011. That afternoon, I had the honor of dressing our graduates in the gymnasium at Missouri Southern State University. And by 5 o'clock, we had passed out our last diploma. Unfortunately, the family celebrations that typically follow graduation ceremonies were cut short. The tears of joy quickly turned to cries of fear, sorrow, and uncertainty. At 5:41 that Sunday afternoon, our quiet community of 50,000 was ripped apart by an EF5 tornado, packing winds in excess of 200 miles per hour. For 32 minutes, what is known as the most costly tornado in U.S. history brought destruction beyond anything any of us could have possibly imagined. Over 8,000 homes, 400 businesses, and 18,000 vehicles were damaged or destroyed. As a school system, we had taken a direct hit as well. 10 of our 19 buildings had been hit, 6 were destroyed, and 4 others damaged. In addition to losing half our facilities, our central office had also been heavily damaged and was unusable as an emergency operations center. In our emergency operations plan, our EOC Plan B, was Joplin High School. It was also destroyed. What was unfathomable was the loss of life. In just 32 minutes, we lost 161 of our friends and neighbors. Our school family lost 7 students and a staff member, including one of my most promising seniors. I'd shaken his hand as he had come across the stage with a big smile on his face less than an hour before. Additionally, over 3,000 of my kids lived in the direct path of that storm, but I can tell you that every single one of my 7,747 students were impacted. The trauma they and their families experienced, the trauma experienced by our staff and community, is something that has taken a mental and emotional toll on each and every one of us every single day since. Now, there's not enough time here to share all the experiences and lessons learned from our disaster. However, I do believe there are certainly some universal truths and, quite frankly, some harsh realities that school leaders should strongly consider when it comes to response and recovery in every natural or man-made disaster. First, your community has an expectation that you're prepared for whatever challenge is thrown at you. There is already an assumption that you have a comprehensive emergency operations plan in place and that your people know how to execute that plan. My question to you, is that assumption a reality? Second, your community will be looking to you and the school system as a whole to provide the leadership and resources to overcome any challenge. My question to you is, do you have the relationships with law enforcement, emergency management, business partners, the faith community, and human service agencies and others to ensure that the leadership and utilization or distribution of resources is effective and efficient to support the community and to ensure the continuity of operations? Lastly, your community will expect high levels of accurate and timely communication throughout the response and recovery process. My question to you is, do you have systems in place to communicate if all your cell phone towers are down? Do you have a plan for how you will deal with national or even international news media when they show up to cover the story? How will you provide ongoing and systematic communications with internal and external stakeholders to ensure they're getting the information that they need? In my 11 years as a school superintendent, my experience with a major natural disaster wasn't the only emergency situation that put our systems to the test. We've had to respond to a credible bomb threat that required the evacuation, relocation, and reunification of an entire middle school. We've been forced to initiate protocol for school lockdowns on more occasions than I can count due to neighborhood violence or credible external threats to the school itself. We successfully executed 2 separate full-scale elementary school evacuations relocation and reunification in response to significant hazardous material leaks that threaten the health and safety of students and staff. And then there are those early morning calls that happen all too often, which require the immediate mobilization of mental health professionals and faith leaders to support those in need following an unexpected death of a student or a staff member. And that's not all. We also have to be prepared to respond when a major crisis occurs in other communities as well. When the Sandy Hook tragedy occurred, the phones rang in every school and every central office in the country. Our parents wanted to know that their children were safe and that we had a plan. They also wanted our assurance that that kind of evil could never enter the doors of our schools. Our local news media also asked a lot of tough questions that we had to answer. However, when it comes to school safety, the toughest question you will ever be asked by a parent or by the media will always be, are our kids safe at your school? Are you ready? As the leader and person ultimately responsible for the safety and security of those who step foot on your campuses, your answer cannot be, well, I hope so.